Hi, and welcome to Unit 4. This unit is called Behavior, and this unit is going to be divided in 4 sections. It's going to be vocabulary, and grammar again. Okay, in the first part of vocabulary, we're going to see polite and impolite behavior. Second part is going to be grammar. We're going to see second conditional. Third part is going to be vocabulary. We're going to see word partners. And the fourth part is grammar. We're going to see past modals for hypothetical situations. So here we have vocabulary, polite and impolite behavior. Now we can see the pictures right here, and we're going to label each picture with either a P or an I. The P stands for polite behavior, and the I stands for impolite behavior. So we're going to analyze the pictures, right? And the first picture, number 1, it says cut in line. And you see the woman, she's getting agitated at the person in front of her, which happens to be the person who just cut in line. So is this polite behavior or impolite behavior? This is I, impolite behavior. Number 2, looks like these 2 people just crashed, but it looks like the first person, or the person that caused the crash, admits to his mistake, which is polite behavior. Number 3, we have 2 women. One is getting angry because the second one just threw trash on the floor, which in other words means drop litter, which is impolite behavior. Number 4, we have people on the train or on the subway, and they seem to be talking loudly to each other in public, which is or can be considered impolite behavior. Number 5, we have 2 women talking to each other, and it looks like the first woman has a compliment for the second woman's hat. And compliments can be considered polite behavior. So if you give someone a compliment, or say something nice about something, or say something nice about something you noticed about them, that is, give someone a compliment, and it is polite behavior. Okay? Number 6, it looks like they're on the bus, and it looks like there's a lot of people. It's packed. We can notice that there's some people standing up as well. And this man right here is being a gentleman by offering his seat to the lady. Okay, so to offer someone your seat is polite behavior. Number 7, this person looks like he's getting mad or he's getting angry, and he's looking at the clock. It looks like someone is keeping him waiting, or someone is late. So to keep someone waiting is impolite behavior. Number 8, these 2 women are talking, and it looks like she's giving the other person a present. You can tell it's wrapped and it has a bow on top of it. So if you give someone a gift, they can be considered polite behavior. Okay, grammar. Here we're going to see second conditional. Second conditional sentences describe unreal or imaginary situations. Use a past tense verb in the if clause, the condition. Use would in the main clause. Use were for the past tense of be in the condition. So what are we going to look at? We're going to look at the words would and were. Follow along. If the stranger were talking loudly behind you in a movie theater, what would you do? Remember, these are unreal situations, imaginary. Second sentence. I'd change seats. I would ask the person to be quiet. If a stranger dropped litter in front of you, would you pick it up? Yes, I would. I'd probably throw it away. How would you feel if someone gave you a gift for no reason? If someone gave me a gift for no reason, I'd feel happy. So all of these situations are unreal, and they're just examples of how we use the word would and were. So now we're going to do a few activities using the second conditional. Number 1, if someone were playing loud music on the subway, what would you do? So here, the action verb is do, but it's going to stay the same. And we're going to use the word would. So the first answer is were. So we're going to look at the if clause, or the condition. Number one, if someone were playing loud music on the subway, what would you do? Okay, so we keep the verb do the same, but in most examples, we would usually change the verb into its past tense, which is what we're going to see in the next sentences. Okay. So that's part A to number one. Part B to number one is I would ask the person to turn it down, or I'd ask the person to turn it down. So in the question, we're using were to clarify the if clause or the second condition. And in the question in part A, we use would. We also use would in the answer that comes next. So I would ask the person to turn it down, or I'd ask the person to turn it down. Number two, what would you do if a friend gave you a compliment? So we're using the word would in the question. We're keeping the verb in the condition the same in its regular form, but we turn the second verb into its past form. So we change give to gave. What would you do if a friend gave you a compliment? Okay? We use the word would in the answer. I would thank him, or I'd thank him. Okay? Number three, if someone cut in line in front of you, what would you say? Okay? So the first verb stays the same, again, and we use the word would in the question. The second verb also stays the same. Now in part B, the verbs also stay the same, just like they did in the question. So part B is I wouldn't say anything. I'd wait for my turn. Now remember to use the word would in the answer. Okay? Number four, what would you do if an elderly man were standing on your bus? So we keep the verb the same, we use the word would, but we change the second verb to standing, and we add the word were. What would you do if an elderly man were standing on your bus? We add the word would in the answer and keep the verb the same. So it's I would offer him my seat, or I'd offer him my seat. Vocabulary word partners. Okay? So here we're going to circle the verbs or verb phrases in column A that partner with the nouns in column B. So number one, we have offer, do, and accept. Right? So we're going to circle the ones that partner with the noun in part B, which is an apology. So let's use them in a sentence. We can offer an apology, we can accept an apology, but we cannot do an apology, because an apology is not something you do. It's something you give, something you offer, or something you accept. It's not something physical that you can actually do with your hands. So you would have to do something else as an apology. It can be an action, or it can just be a verbal apology. Now that would be something polite to do. Okay, number two. So we're going to use all three examples with the noun in part B to see which one works and which ones don't. So number two, tell an explanation, ask for an explanation, and offer an explanation. Now you can explain something, but you cannot tell an explanation. You can ask for an explanation, or you can offer an explanation. Okay? So here we have to pay attention to the context more than anything, and the word that is being used. Number three, again, we're going to use all three examples. It says, agree with an opinion, disagree with an opinion, and turn down an opinion. The correct ones are agree with an opinion, disagree with an opinion, but you cannot turn down an opinion because it's an opinion. An opinion isn't correct or wrong. It's an opinion. It's a perspective. Number 4, make a request, give a request, turn down a request. The correct ones are make a request and turn down a request. But you cannot give a request because the request already includes the action of giving. So you can't use both words together. That would be just extra information, too much. So it's make a request or turn down a request. Number 5, deny a compliment, give a compliment, and accept a compliment. The correct ones are give a compliment and accept a compliment. But you cannot deny a compliment. You cannot undo something that just happened, like a compliment that was given. There is no denying a compliment. It just doesn't make sense. Number 6, admit a favor, ask for a favor, return a favor. The correct ones are ask for a favor, return a favor. But you cannot admit a favor. It's not something you admit. Now, number 7, reach a compromise, say a compromise, or suggest a compromise. The correct ones are reach a compromise and suggest a compromise. You cannot say a compromise. Those two words just do not go together. Number 8, say an invitation, accept an invitation, and turn down an invitation. The correct ones are accept an invitation and turn down an invitation. Again, you cannot say an invitation. You can invite somebody, but you cannot use the word an invitation as if you were saying it. Okay, you would have to change the whole word in order to make sense. You would have to change it to invite. Okay, number 9, make an excuse, offer an excuse, or do an excuse. Okay, the correct ones are make an excuse and offer an excuse. But you cannot do an excuse. Okay, it's not something you do. Okay? So that would be the incorrect verb to use with an excuse. So here we have an example of conversation. We can see them being used in context. Okay, A, when was the last time you asked for a favor? B, last night I asked my brother to help me with my homework. Grammar, past modals for hypothetical situations. Use past modals to talk about hypothetical situations in the past. Use should have to talk about the right thing to do. Could have to talk about possibilities, and would have to imagine your behavior. Okay? So here we're seeing 3 things: should have, would have, and could have. Should, could, and would. So here are the examples. I should have lent him my laptop. I shouldn't have said no. He could have offered you an explanation. It would have depended. Should I have lent it to him? Yes, you should have. No, you shouldn't have. What would you have done? Okay, now we're going to do the activities. My sister loves her new haircut. I told her I hated it. Now she's mad at me. Remember, we have to add the word have. So in part B is going to be, that wasn't nice. I wouldn't have said that. Okay? So we changed the word say into its past form to said. Same thing with the second one. You could have given her a compliment instead. Okay? So we changed the word give to given. Number 2. Remember, we have to use the word have. Okay? So it's going to be, should I have invited the whole class to my party? I didn't, and now some people are angry. Okay? So we change invite to invited. Part B. Yes, you should have, but your apartment is really too small. So we use the word should, and we always add the word have. Number 3. My cousin asked me for a favor. He wanted to borrow my new car. What would you have done? So here we change the word do to done. And in the answer, we're going to change the verb say, and we're going to add the word have. So it's going to be, I would have said no. Number 4. A few days ago, I broke the microwave at my office by accident. It's going to be, you should have offered to buy a new microwave. Okay, so all we do here is add the word have and change the word offer to offered. That is all for this video. I hope you learned something today, and we'll see each other in the next video.